Let me look at the... Oh, she's getting paid, you guys.
Get it ready.
You can't tell. Pastor might have any... Which is Karma's real name. Did you hear that? What? That your dog attached Chewy? My dog? My baby? Oh, Osa? Osa tag? Why? Message me, Leah. We're gonna go into other tea. Hold on, you guys. Alma just said that the lady is live. Though we're gonna talk about this lady. Why can I spell psychiatrist? Psychiatrist. Oh, it's Kendra.
And what?
Thank you.
Hi. What I wouldn't give to freaking...
Why'd I keep calling her Chris? It's Kendra.
There's sometimes people get online and they're like, I fell in love with my psychiatrist.
She's lying. So let me tell you guys a little bit about this. This is wild. This is worse than actually.
And he knew, and
I can't believe anything until I see it. Because somebody can just send you information, you know? Hold on, you guys. I have to put this up here because I can't read the comments because of my shirt. She doesn't have an account, Medina. She doesn't have an account. Maybe I need to lower this too. Oh, there it is. Way better. Ha ha. She doesn't have an account. She just gets clipped. Did Uncle Fester lose his job? Hi, Bianca. Hi, Lananis. I don't think Uncle Fester lost his job, but I do think that he's keeping himself low because people probably are reaching out to his job, and they're probably, you know, pushing it. So he's acting like, I don't have a job. He has a really good job. I don't think he would risk it over TikTok, because TikTok doesn't pay him the amount that he makes on his job. You know what I mean? Hey, Nosy. So yeah. But her getting kicked out, let's see.
they got the proof. They just don't want to do the exposing. And then I also heard that Uncle Foster lost his job. Is that true? Because if it is, that would explain why he was so messed up. Especially...
I do know that, well, he hasn't been live, so he was live the other day with his accordion, and that was the last time he was live. They're saying allegedly using fake names, but I don't think so, because in order for you to book on Airbnb, you have to have verified identity. You can't just book with fake names. You have to have verified identity. If not, then they won't accept you. I mean, sending his job that he's hanging out with 18-year-olds doesn't do anything. Someone's held a live exposing him in one of his... Ooh. Oh, yeah, I did see that he was wasted, like, at 5 a.m. showing his chicharrones. Yeah, well, they still have to match, like, the name, and it has to, like... Now they do more stuff, because I have Airbnb. Yeah, contact... The job has nothing to do with this, you guys. Yeah. If you're gonna contact his job, you're gonna say what? This guy hangs around with Astrovino. Oh, now that makes more sense, Sammy. Yep. Fester is a little weird. Something's off. Yeah, it is very weird. Ooh, we have tea. I guess Danny posted something, you guys. Uncle Froster messaged her. Good morning. No, good afternoon, Dan. I think we need to talk about something. I'll tell you guys right now. I have it on here, but I think she posted on her stories. I think we need to talk about something. I've been getting concerning messages about what you have been saying on your lives and some particular comments that you have made. As you know, I already have to deal with backlash from thousands of people about Ash, and honestly, sometimes it's overwhelming. The last thing I need is to add the comments you have made into this toxic mix. You made this. I truly appreciate your support from the beginning. I have always said thank you for your gifts. They are truly appreciated. I have made it clear that I don't want any kind of relationship. I need to heal from my past relationship. Bro, stop. Stop. I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but from what I've been told, you feel some kind of way about me, and I'm far from trying to pursue any relationship with anybody. I hope you find these words understanding. Thank you, Danny. So Danny is she comes in here sometimes, and it looks like she was gifting Uncle or Renee. She was gifting Renee, and she was gifting him like big gifts, and it looks like she was feeling some type of way. She's his top gifter, and she was feeling some type of way towards Renee, and you know she had lives, and she was at some point Fester was up there, and he was being rude. No, not that Danny. No, Danny Ray, and she like made a video saying, I think Uncle Fester hates me. Like, it was getting very overwhelmed. Like, we reached out. A lot of people. No, this is what she posted, Danny Ray. So I'll get to that. So we told her, like, just be careful who you gift. Just be careful, like, what you know your feelings. Because we don't think that's happening. And I guess now he found out and messaged her and told her, like, I don't want a relationship with you, because she says she has like a crush on him. Yes, and I heard that she's in a current relationship but has a crush on him. And he just messaged her basically telling her, like, that one, Caro. That he doesn't want a relationship with her, and he wasn't pursuing that. He thanked her for the gifts, but that wasn't it. But I don't know what could he said to her to make her think that he wanted something with her. Hi, Huckleberry. You know what I mean? He was feeding off her crush for him. Yeah, exactly. And that's unfortunate because, thank you, Oki. Unfortunately, that's something you just don't do. Because if you guys remember the way he was on her live, like, get them down. Like, he was demanding, like, it was his life. Like, he had this control. And it happens a lot on here. Yes. No, but we're talking about how he led her on. He was never, like, clear. I think now that he's getting backlash, like always, that's when he wants to be like, oh, let me stop this. Yes. You know what I mean? Hi, Gloria. And right now we're talking about Danny Ray and Froster. So I feel that, yeah, he was taking over her life, and we kept telling her, and even Candy went up there and she was like, this is not his life. This is yours. You get to choose who you want here, and you get to choose who. You know what I mean? And he was being rude. And that's the one where he was like, oh, okay, bye, 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 bye. It said watching people take advantage. Yeah. Nunu News went live with her. Oh, I didn't see that. I did see people. I guess she was live yesterday, but I missed it because I was doing something else, and they were telling her. But I don't know if she just doesn't want to understand and hear it. Good night, my love. And one thing I'm gonna say, I'm not Team Carla. I'm not Team Carla. But I am going to always fact check the information that's put out there. And the information about Carlos's dad is not true. It's not true. That's not her dad. Just FYI. This is a light pink nude. Well, somebody commented, Nosy, but they made a video saying that Carlos's dad is a PDF. And it's not true. Yeah, no, I saw her flirting with Danny. The way they would talk to her in Glaze, yeah, because they knew they're coming. Yeah, Zainab, you guys haven't watched the videos because they didn't get the views they wanted. But I did get messages about it. Hi, Kate. I did get messages about it, and I was like, what? So, of course, before releasing any information, I double check, and that's not her dad. The person that they pulled was somebody born in a whole different year than their dad. And I did see a clip of Carla saying, like, because I know she's trying to rebrand, which I don't blame, if she really is trying to rebrand and the God is calling her to stop, go, good for her, right? But that doesn't make it okay that's a huge allegation. I mean, that's what she said. I don't know what she's trying to do, but that's what I saw last time. Because I don't follow her. You guys know I still have her blocked. Why are we fighting with Texas, girl? What's going on? But then she had Fester on her live after. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm just like, whatever she wants to do. I'm not pregnant. I'm cool with Texas girls. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. So. Sorry. In the last thing she said was she came back. Remember that was arrested was gifting last night. Remember that was arrested was gifting last night in Ghosty. Okay, yes, no rude comments about Danny. So if you don't know who Danny is, Danny's a creator here or content. I don't know if she does content, honestly. I met her because she comes in my lives, and then we started seeing her. They're saying that they got kicked out because they were using different names. So talking about going back, finishing Carla, and whatever she wants to do, but to come here and give a huge allegation about Carlos's dad, it's sad because as a daughter of a lovely father, if somebody was to come and put that out there, just because you didn't fact check. So, and then Danny, yeah, it's a huge allegation to say that, and it's not okay. And then Danny, she's young, she's innocent, she's very blinded by the fact, and I can understand somebody he could have said it at the beginning because it's not the first time she said it, even before. Oh, okay, Tanaki, thanks. I didn't read anything. So to the moment you saw and heard that Danny, because I know she told me, like, I messaged Danny and I was like, just be careful. And she was like, I know, I just don't want to pick a side. And I said, you're not picking a side. I'm just letting you know, be careful who you're gifting and be careful, the conversation. I don't know what conversation. She's not young. So Danny is not that innocent. She is 41. Danny wants Dandy wants to talk. She can come here or she can request me. Yeah, and I mean, you can have crushes, like, but I don't think she really has a crush. Yeah, she's really like, she likes him in a sense that it's not just a crush. Like, she likes him. Like, she's hurt if he doesn't come in. Well, a lot of times if it's because sometimes it's not even the looks. Sometimes it's the fact that the way they talk to you, and they catch you in a moment where you're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But I just wish she understood. And if she's in that vulnerable place where she needed to hear somebody be nice to her and she took it differently, you guys, okay. After this, we're going to talk about Krista. Krista, that psychiatrist, the one that fell in love with her psychiatrist. Exactly, Chapa. It's attention that you're seeking and it's given, but then they should have cut it off like, hey, that's not what I want. We're cool. This is how I talk. The period. But if they engage to it and set more stuff, yeah. We're going to talk about Huckleberry because it's deep. So, you guys can tell that she wants to come in here. I have a crush on another man when she has a boyfriend. I know that. I also saw that, Chloe, where because I was like, oh man, she has a crush. And then I heard she has a boyfriend. So it was kind of. So you guys want to hear about the psychiatrist? Please tell me you guys want to listen to the psychiatrist. You guys need to hold on to this. Hold on to your seats. Hold on to your seats. Okay. We're gonna listen to the clips because they're very small clips, and we're gonna react to each one. Her name's Kendra, by the way. Kendra, I keep calling her Krista.
Many people have reached out to me.
Oh my gosh, she gained 4,000 followers from the moment I listened to it.
I fell in love with my.
Okay, ready? I'm gonna use.
I fell in love with my psychiatrist.
Hold on, Kendra.
And I fell in love with.
Okay. Me too, Chris. Okay, ready?
My psychiatrist, and he knew that, and he kept me for years as a patient until I was brave enough to leave him. I want to talk about it. Usually when I go on this app and I have a question, I have a bunch of videos that pop up, and I searched in love with my psychiatrist and nothing happened. So I would really like to discuss what happens when we fall in love with our mental health professionals, and most importantly, the fact that there are so many people, especially men, that are emotionally dead inside, that feel called to going into psychiatry and therapy so they don't have to feel their feelings, but they can feed off of the vulnerability of their mostly female patients. What do you guys think? I fell in love with my psychiatrist. Yes, I told him often that I had a crush on him. Told him all the time that... Wait. Oh, he wasn't just... Sorry, but was I going through something? Okay. Oh, I know it's... Yeah,
I need the part one. Wait, hold on.
I fell in love with my psychiatrist, and he knew, and he kept me until I had the strength to leave after 4 years. Here it is, part one. So I decided to go back on ADHD meds after many years of being off of them. I was on them in my early 20s to help me get through college, and then I went off of them because they just weren't, like, the side effects were too much over.
If you just joined, we're listening to Kendra. She's someone that posted a story about how she fell in love with her psychiatrist, and she told her. So, hi, Isel. So, This is part 1.
The benefits. But then in my late 20s, I read this book, Taking Charge of Adult ADHD, and it absolutely changed my life. For my fellow ADHDers, there's so many good things in here. And the biggest thing that I took away was that it's very important for ADHDers to be on meds. So I decided to make an appointment with a psychiatrist. I just Googled psychiatry in the city that I lived in, and I went with the first one that came up, and I got an appointment within a month. And then I booked a 90-minute intake, and I show up to the intake, and this man is my age, and I can't help but notice that he's pretty attractive, this psychiatrist. I fell in love with my psychiatrist, and he kept me anyway, part 2. So in this intake, I kind of clocked that he was attractive in my age, but when I tell you that I've had a lot of couch time in my life, a lot of therapy, I just went right into it. I trusted him enough, of course, why wouldn't I, to tell him about my childhood trauma, my daddy issues, if you will, what I had went through, all of the relationship trauma that I had. I was 6 months sober at this time, but all of the drinking and substance use I used to do, and he just listened and nodded. And that's the thing about psychiatrists, is that they're good at pretending to listen. They can appear connected, but that doesn't mean that they're always connected. So I just felt really seen. And I also told him, I was like, look, I don't want to be on stimulant meds. So he listened to me, and he put me on the non-stimulant ADHD med at the lowest dose, just to figure out if it was going to work for me. I was in love with my psychiatrist, and he kept me anyway, part 3.
Her name's Kendra.
So I hadn't ever seen a psychiatrist before. When I was on meds in my early 20s, I only got meds from my primary care physician. So I didn't understand how psychiatry works. So because he was figuring out my med dose, I saw him every month, and he just made me feel like I was his friend. He was really, really funny and cracked jokes, and told me he was impressed with my running that I would do. And yeah, so of course I loved the attention that I got from him. And it was in my 3rd session with him, because at this point we were all on Zoom, that I asked him, I said, hey, do you mind if I call you by your first name? And he's Pakistani, so I said his first name wrong, and he said, well, it's pronounced this, but yes, of course you can. And he seemed so smug and happy with himself. And I know that that is because that was his first sign that him pretending like we're friends was working. And to be fair to me, I had only ever been to therapy before. I didn't realize that, it's important to call your doctor last name. I mean, I did know that. I did it with all my other doctors, but it just showed that the boundaries were blurring, and he liked that. So from then on, from my 3rd session on, I started calling him his first name. And then he just started turning up the volume on us being friendly. And he would ask me, for the first 6 sessions, he asked me, after the meds, he said, how's your bowels, bladder, and appetite? And I would say they're all normal. And then he would ask me any thoughts of harm. And apparently that's pretty common for psychiatry to ask those questions. And then on our 6th session, when things were really, the chemistry was starting to be there before, I didn't realize it. I was like, oh, this man is just friendly. And he said, I have to ask this because it's a special interest of mine, but is there any thoughts of harm? I was special to him. And I said, no thoughts of harm. And he didn't ever ask me a clinical question again. He stopped asking me about my bladder, bowels, and appetite, and he stopped asking me about thoughts of harm. So to me, I would just show up and he was like a therapy appointment every month. I was in love with my
Mind you, it's once a month virtual, and so far she feels the flirting because he allowed her to call him by his first name because she couldn't pronounce it, and she took it as, oh, okay. And then him asking as a professional after prescribing medicine that, how are your bowel movements, how's everything going? No, not in person. So she was like, I'm doing it, but she was taking it like, oh, okay, he cares. But it's like she's saying it, I guess it's normal for this to happen. Like, this is normal, but she wasn't taking it that way. Next part.
So I was seeing him every month and just gaining more and more respect for him because he would just tell me these little things about his successes and all of the cool things that he was doing in his life. And it made me fall for him, honestly. And he was really good at listening. And I mean, he's a Pisces, right? So of course he's going to be there and be able to go deep with my feelings. But that doesn't mean that he wasn't extracting from them. Anyway, so I would beg him to let me see him every week. Beg him, because my therapist at the time, he was fine. You know, he wasn't a predator, but he was fine. He just wasn't doing very much for me. And so that therapist retired, and I got a new therapist. And this new therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD, she was pretty helpful. So I stopped asking my psychiatrist, begging, honestly, to be my therapist and let me see him more, right? Which also should have been a red flag. But then I started focusing on this therapist. However, I would tell the therapist how obsessed I was with my psychiatrist, and she didn't do anything about it. She just was interested. She also loved stories about my dating life, and yeah, she also was getting supply from me in her own way, but that's for another part. So yeah, so I got a new therapist who actually helped me. She taught me CBT, EFT, all of these different modalities. And so I went back to just being okay with seeing Irfan once a month while he was giving me these little breadcrumbs of making me feel special, telling me about his professional achievements, telling me about how he's getting international recognition. And it worked. I was really impressed. So I was seeing him every month. I got a new therapist. I stopped begging my psychiatrist to see me weekly. And that is when the intermittent reinforcement started. Some sessions he'd be warm and kind and wonderful and let me in on little parts of his life and like be vulnerable with me or pretend. Other sessions, he would be cold and clinical and detached. And you know what that did? It made me work harder in our next sessions. It did. And it started the addiction that I had to him. 100%. And he knew exactly what he was doing. This man gives lectures on trauma and attachment theory. He used his psychiatric training to manipulate me and get me hooked. And guess what? It worked. In January of 2024, I was hit by a car turning left as I was going through a green light. And it was the night before my next appointment with my psychiatrist. So I was like, okay, I'll still be able to go to my appointment on Zoom. I'm okay. But I did make an appointment with an urgent care the next day just to get checked out. I had bruising on my abdomen and a perforated eardrum. And the provider at the urgent care said, I do not feel comfortable treating you. You need to seek emergency care now. You may be internally bleeding. But it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and my appointment with my psychiatrist was at 2. So I decided that I was going to wait so I could see my psychiatrist and not have to reschedule, because I was looking forward to my appointment with him so much. I look back at that time and I'm just like, oh my God, I put my own life under seeing him. I was fully addicted to him at this point. And you know what happened is that I showed up and I told him that I may be internally bleeding, and he didn't stop the appointment. He didn't say, you need to take care of yourself, go get emergency care now. He let me continue and just tell him about how much I loved him and how grateful I was for him, because that was really what most of our appointments were, is me just like pouring myself out, because he was so good at the intermittent reinforcement. Yeah, I got some warmth from him that appointment. So that was January 2023. And I also told my therapist about this. She said nothing. I got a new therapist. After I risked my life to see him, that's when he really started turning up the intimacy in our appointments. However, he was really smart and knew the professional lines like the back of his hand. So
Isn't that what professionals are supposed to know? Like the whole profession, like the back of their hand, that tells you that they know what they're doing, right? Right? I'm just saying, I'm not...
would comment on my appearance, but not compliment my appearance. So I would come on screen and he would say, oh, you curled your hair. Or I would come on screen and he would say, oh, you're wearing glasses. And of course I felt seen and excited that he was noticing these things about me. I didn't realize...
Sorry, you guys.
At this time that he had feelings for me too. I thought I was holding them all by myself. So I was so excited when he noticed my glasses that I ran and showed him my other pair, and he said, I prefer turtle shell glasses. So even though I usually wear contacts, I'm wearing these turtle shell glasses in these videos because just in case he sees them ever, he'll see me in his favorite glasses. He did tell me he likes the turtle shell. Anyway, it was just inappropriate things like that. Little teeny things that he let me in. And all this time, my best friend is an emergency medicine physician. Okay, and she told me, she said, Kendra, one of these days, your psychiatrist, she would use his name, is going to say, I can't be your doctor anymore. I want to be with you. I want to be with you so bad. I can't be your doctor. I'll see you in 2 years. So my best friend, who's a doctor, she picks up on stuff like that. So even she knew that our relationship was crossing boundaries and getting weird, but that became my dream, was for my psychiatrist, I almost use his name, to do that. And I told him about Brianna saying that, my best friend, who's the emergency medical doc. I told him that she would tell me that, and he just would be silent. He didn't disagree, but he didn't agree. And that was... Weaponized neutrality was his favorite game to play, right? He didn't disagree with Brianna telling me that my psychiatrist had feelings for me, but he also didn't say that's inappropriate. Let's change the subject.
Thank you.
It was also around this time that I asked my psychiatrist if he had diagnosed me with anything other than ADHD when I had my initial diagnosis. And he said, yeah, I did. I said, oh, what did you diagnose me with? And he said, well, you had a lot of traumatic things happen to you in childhood because of your dad, and so I diagnosed you with other trauma and stressor-related disorder. And that was the first little ping that I got of like, that was weird. Why would he keep that from me? I asked Matt, why wouldn't he tell me that? That seems important. He didn't tell me because he was using that information to manipulate me. He knew I had trauma and stressor disorder, and instead of helping me heal from it and telling me about it, he used it against me. After I risked my life, January 2023, at this point I was full-blown obsessed with my psychiatrist, And
Yeah, you were.
my therapist wasn't helping me. My psychiatrist wasn't helping me. He was feeding it. And then I got a boyfriend. And at first, my psychiatrist wasn't really that keen, but then my psychiatrist realized that my boyfriend was a lot like my psychiatrist. And then I started talking to my psychiatrist about my sex life, about tracking my cycle, using the fertility awareness method. And my psychiatrist loved it. He didn't never say, this isn't inappropriate to your care, let's pivot. Oh, he just let me talk and talk and talk about my sex life. And I didn't get too deep, but about a year and a half in, and I would send my psychiatrist these emails just about how much I liked him and how I was so grateful for him and put in a bunch of heart emojis. And this is really when he should have transferred my care, but he waited. He liked what I gave him too much. And so even though my boyfriend did not meet my needs, my psychiatrist and my therapist both were like, you have to stay with him. There's nothing wrong with him not meeting your needs. I'm like, okay. And my psychiatrist was like, he's perfect. Don't get wrong with him. And what was perfect about him was he wasn't meeting my needs. So I was still coming to my psychiatrist looking for emotional validation, which he would drip to me slowly. So my therapist, who I didn't know at this time had bad boundaries, but she did. I went to her because my boyfriend and I, after more than a year together, we started having issues in the bedroom. And so I went to my therapist and she asked me, what does your psychiatrist think about this? And I said, I don't know. I haven't talked to my psychiatrist about this stuff because I have a crush on my psychiatrist and I don't want to tell him this intimate of stuff. And she said, well, you should tell him because I want a male's perspective. So at my next appointment with my psychiatrist, I told him, I said, today we're going to talk about my intimate life. And he said, oh. I said, yes. My psychologist, my therapist, asked what your opinion on it was. And I told her that I don't talk to you about this intimate stuff because I have a crush on you. And he looked down and smiled so big in that moment. He smiled so big. And I loved it. It's so gross thinking about it.
Yes,
and then I proceeded to give him 30 minutes of non-stop content about my intimate life with my boyfriend. And I actually recorded the whole thing because I was so excited about it. But now it makes me sick. I can't even listen to the recording. I've tried to start, but it's gross. And
she's disgusted by the same thing she told them.
Any ethical psychiatrist would have stopped me and said, Kendra, let's talk about your meds. Let's talk about your care. At this point, my meds were stable. And I was still seeing him every month. Yeah, that was a rough time. And it was pretty much his Christmas morning, the almost 2.5 years of grooming me to get me to talk about sexual things with him worked. And
mind you, if you just joined, we're listening to a girl named Kendra that has been doing story time about how she fell in love with her psychiatrist, and she's telling us why. And right now, she's basically saying that he ruined her. Mind you, he didn't even ask for the information. The other therapist told her, go tell him. And she went, and I feel, once you guys start listening, maybe you guys will agree with me. I feel the other person doesn't exist, the 75-year-old therapist. I feel that 75% in her mind that she's thinking it's her. That it's her. And she fed herself these things so she can do them. So right now she's saying that he ruined her because the other therapist told her to tell him the whole situation about the bedroom with her boyfriend, giving him content.
And he got 30 minutes of nonstop content to use. January 20th. I need to address three things. One, people. Welcome back to another installment of I Was in Love with My Psychiatrist and He Kept Me Anyway, Part 8. You all did some nasty work last night, and I had to turn off comments. People started posting my psychiatrist's first and last name, his picture in the comments. That was a jump scare. So, yeah, a few bad actors who wanted to be super sleuths got the privilege of commenting, mostly hate, let's be real, taken away for everyone. So at this point in the story, there are two main players. My psychiatrist, who's my age, who crossed major ethical boundaries, and my therapist, who is a 75-year-old woman with a PhD. Neither of these people, at this point in the story, I knew were crossing boundaries. I thought that everything was hunky-dory and that I was just in love with my psychiatrist and it was totally normal. Little did I know he was manufacturing everything so I could fall in love with him. Because it was on him to set the professional boundary and not let attention build. So, days after my psychiatrist's Christmas morning appointment from a few videos back where he got a crush confession from me and then 30 minutes of non-stop intimate content that he did not stop me. My boyfriend and I broke up days later. So then I started dating this other guy. And this other guy, this new guy, was a therapist. And I was like, oh, great. Someone who will be able to emotionally meet my needs. Yeah, I'm not going to date another therapist again. So this therapist and I, we went for coffee. It was nice. Our second date was a hike. And on this hike, this therapist starts telling me about how he has a crush on one of his clients. And I thought to myself, okay, this is strange, but go ahead. Like, we're on a date, dude. Why are you telling me about a crush on one of your clients? But go off, King. So then he was saying, yeah, she's so attractive, and I think she likes me too. I go and visit her at work, and her coworkers say, oh, so-and-so talks about you all the time. And I was like, okay, where does she work? And he said, well, I shouldn't tell you that because I really shouldn't be visiting her anyway. I was like, okay, no problem. So then he continues and he said, yeah, she wears these red lacy panties and short skirts. And I know she wears them for me. And like alarm bells were going off in my head. Mind you, I had no idea that my psychiatrist had similar feelings towards me at this point. But I just thought, wow, this man is borderline predatory. Yeah. And he said, yeah, and, you know, she just is so attractive that I have to smash mermaid before every session because I just have to get that energy out of me. And I was like, okay. And yeah, he just felt compelled to tell me, and I did not understand why. Now I do.
Is Smash Mermaid like playing with yourself? Asking for a friend. Oh. Smash Mermaid. Why would she say that term? But I know what it means, but it's like Smash Mermaid. That still don't make sense. Okay.
So he told me about how he's a predator, right? Another predator in the mental health industry. Shocker. So then, at my next appointment with my